So it seems to me that people fail to grasp the true atrocity that has been done by America's past slave masters. And not only that, but you have people trying to excuse it by saying whatever they can in order to make their argument more favorable. I say this because you have people like Thomas Sowell saying, or rather spreading, the Irish slave myth. Or you have other types of people that like to bring up our ancestors and how they fought and killed one another as if that itself excuses the actions that have been done to us, particularly in America, particularly here, not Africa, America. And I failed to grasp the mindset of these people. Even though Loudmouth is one of them, but that's another topic. From her perspective, I understand. But even though I understand what she's trying to say, it doesn't click for me. It doesn't click. Because I like to look at the facts and statistics. I can't put blind faith on anything anymore. I can't do that. I physically can't do that. I can't. I like facts and statistics. I like numbers. But even with that said, I can't believe how people want to make it seem like we, as a black nation, don't deserve anything. That in itself is not true. Let me talk about Africans for a second. Our ancestors. You see, people use the excuse of how they were violent with one another as if it somehow equates to white people when it came to enslaving us for hundreds of years. As if that alone makes sense somehow. Now for me, it doesn't whatsoever. The reason for this is simply because those two actions are separate. Not only that, it makes sense. I say this because Africa is a society. And in societies, there is internal conflict. Meaning there will always be violence against one another. It doesn't matter race. It doesn't matter people. There will be violence. There will be violence. That's how humans are. There will be violence. No question about it. So if that's the case, why does violence in Africa somehow justify the violence that happened across seas to America? Well, in America, to be more precise. Those are two separate categories. And somehow, people are acting like it makes sense. It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. Every race has killed, maimed, raped, molested, slaughtered, you name it. They've done it towards one another. They've done it. Don't tell me no, because it's a fact. So why are people making it seem like one race is better than the other in that regard when the fact is, even if you take black people and white people out the picture and instead you put one race on the planet, I guarantee you it will still be the same. There will still be conflict. There will still be murders. There will still be killings. There will still be rapes. Nothing would change in that regard. Nothing would. Because as humans, we survived through violence. That alone is a fact. We use violence as a means for our survival. So if that's the case, and we've done so for hundreds, if not millions of years, then that alone is hardwired within us. You can't just erase that. You can't. It is too hardwired into our natural being. That alone will never go away. People will always find reasons to kill and hurt one another. So why are you making it seem like African people are the only people that done so, when that's not true? Here's what I call an ecological argument. Because for the people who say, oh, have you seen Africans? You know, they killed, they enslaved, they did all that towards each other. That's true. But who doesn't? The Romans did. The Vikings did. I could go on and on and on. Everyone does. Everyone. So why is it like Africans, in particular, our ancestors, were the worst people of all when it comes to that, when that's not true whatsoever? That's not true. And yet, people have this false reality of just holding hands and skipping around and giving each other hugs and just being overly peaceful with all smiles and just the perfect race or the perfect something of that nature that is just beyond possibility. You can't reach that. You can't. It is unreachable. It's unreachable. So I fail to understand why certain people look at that history and it's like, oh my God, look at what we were doing to each other. Oh my God, this changed my mind. Like we were terrible. Like oh my God, like that don't make sense. What are you talking about? Yes, that's terrible. But why does that transfer? Why does that transfer? Why does that transfer over to racism? Why? Because that's two separate topics. What impact on racism does that have? We're not talking about violence of races. We're talking about violence onto one race that the reason for it is simply out of some twisted pleasure. Like, that's just internal conflict. In America, the slavery that happened here, it had nothing to do with external conflict. That was choice. That was choice. They chose to put us as slaves. They chose to rape us. They chose to burn us. They chose to put us to work. They chose to do all that. Not out of conflict, but out of pleasure. Out of pleasure. 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 And yet, you have people like, oh yeah, wait, slave? Wait, you talking about racism? Let me tell you about how Africans, killed in Maine one another. Like, let me talk about this, and I guarantee you will change your whole view on it. Like, no, that's the most stupidest fucking argument I've ever heard in my fucking life. It makes no sense. No sense. And people are out here acting like it's a problem solver. acting like, it just automatically means that racism itself doesn't exist. Like, what are you talking about? Where is your mindset? Where is your mindset? Because it's not in reality. It's not there. Just because one race was violent towards itself, killing, all that jazz, does not weaken the fact of racism. It does not make racism okay by any means. It does not somehow humanize it, because those are two separate categories. External conflict and racism are two different categories. Two different definitions. Two different accents. Two different mindsets. How are y'all putting these two together? How? Where is the logic? Where is the justification? Because I cannot see it. Y'all saying this like it really means something. It don't. Not to me. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. It means nothing to me. Nothing. That will not change my mind. It will not. No. Oh my God. I will never understand y'all's mindsets. Racism is an act of evil by dehumanizing another race because of self-superiority. Conflict is something that simply spirals out of control between people who just, for some reason or another, finds an excuse to either argue, hurt, or kill one another. That's the truth. That's the truth. Y'all should not care about what your ancestors did to one another. Y'all should not care about that. What y'all should care about is what the white man did to you and your ancestors. That's what you should care about. Because those are two different mindsets. Two different mindsets. They have nothing to do with one another. They chose that. They chose to do that. They chose that act of evil. They did that out of pure malice. And they're still doing it. They're still doing it. They're out here killing, embarrassing, whipping, everything you can think of. Hell, there's a basketball team called Cotton Picker or Cotton Forge or something like that. Either way, there's a basketball team that essentially mocks black people. It mocks us. It mocks us. And they're allowed to do that. They're allowed to name themselves that. And they got away with it. They got away with it. Whole basketball team. They got away with it. And that to me spells racism. That to me does not spell conflict. That spells racism. That spells evil. That spells malice. A pure, dark heart. Sit darker than my skin. The fuck y'all talking about? Just don't fall for this. Don't fall for this mindset. Because when you do, you lost. You lost. Automatically, you lost. Because this is exactly how they want you to think. That's all I gotta say. Black power.